super good day, super good day of trading. Ended up catching two trades today. Palantir paid the bills, and then we caught Microsoft as well to the upside. So far, right, our thesis and analysis have been playing out very well. Today on the SPY, we'll break this down a little bit here on the daily. Um, Starting to play out how I wanted to look for pullbacks here. So we'll break that down on the daily time frame. But so far, really solid day. I think what we're on a I think 3 to 4 day right winning streak. It's something that I always say, guys. It's like less is more. Don't let social media fool you. You don't need trades every day. You don't need a big trade every day. Yesterday we had a cash day. Today we caught a big trade on Palantir, and then last week we caught two big trades on Tesla. So remember, less is more. You don't need to trade every single day. As I always say, my average trades come out to like 2 to 3 a week. That's all you need. So we'll break these down, and then we will go over the pre-market game plan going into tomorrow. So first things first, a couple of things to break down is this is what I wanted to see here on the overall market. Something I've been saying is in order for us to start seeing pullbacks on the overall market, we need to see a daily candle close under the previous day low. That's something that I said, and good. This is what I want to see here on the SPY. As you can see, right, we went on a crazy rip. Right, look at this. We went on a crazy rip. We got so many gaps in the market. As you can see here, so many gaps in the market. We ended up gapping up going into last Friday's session and just straight upside. So in order for us to like really start seeing some pullbacks here on the market, we needed to see a daily candle close under the previous day low, which was very solid. So this is actually what I wanted to see today. You can see the last 2 days really didn't do much. You know, we ended up pushing up into 712.40, and then we got slapped in the face. That's mainly due to Qs, but we'll break that down here in a sec. So what am I looking for going into tomorrow? Well, right, very solid here. We still have a little bit to go, you know, to fill this gap from going into last Friday's session. But just looking for pullbacks, right? I want to see these old highs here, these old highs turn into support. Right, we got the breakout, we got the displacement. Let's see these old highs turn into support. Something to keep in mind tomorrow, who knows what happened. Tomorrow's the 22nd, which is the end of the ceasefire. So who knows what's going to happen, right? So just be on standby for that. As we know, we are in a news-driven market. So the higher time frame big play here on SPY I'm looking for is this pullback long here off of 697.05. Of course, right, if we get above all-time highs, 712.40, we can definitely see some continuation higher. So going into tomorrow, really the main key level, you know, we're going to be watching here is the previous day low, right? Do we hold this, right, and see it push back up, or do we get a break and retest under this, which I hope we do, and get this pullback here to 697.05 on the SPY. So that's the main plan tomorrow, but today's a good daily candle closure. That's exactly what I wanted to see today on the SPY, which is this daily candle close under the previous day low. As for Qs, so solid here on the Qs. You can see we're starting to sit sideways a little bit, which is expected, right? And once we go through a couple of these tech names, you realize that we're starting to consolidate just a little bit, like AMD, like NVIDIA, but it's just healthy market structure. We just went on a crazy rip, right? Look at these daily candles, just straight upside. So for us to sit a little bit before we get our next leg higher or our next leg lower, that's 100% healthy market structure. So going into tomorrow here on Qs, you can see Qs was a little stronger today than the SPY, right? The daily candle on SPY closed well below the previous day low. You can see Qs starting to hold this general area around 642.50-ish area. So 3 days now in between 650 and 642. We made new all-time highs today by 20 cents, right? All-time highs coming into today was 650 on the dot. Today we broke that and made new all-time highs by 20 cents. And this is really what led the market pulling back very aggressively today. You can see we pushed right into that on the dot, and we just got slapped in the face and started to pull back. So that's expected, right? We're sitting at all-time highs. There's no more key levels. You can expect us to start to range a little bit. You can expect some selling pressure to kick in a little bit, especially up here. As I always say, right, you can enter a trade up here, but if you do, you're late to the party. Right? You want to enter a trade on that pullback dip, which is what we're looking for here on SPY. So as you can see here, we got this general area on Qs, just clean levels getting respected. Resistance, we got that break, turned it into support. Today, support. So tomorrow, like I taught you guys, PDH and PDL are liquidity pockets, especially, you know, in trending markets. You can really look for pullback longs off of the previous day lows, right, to get that dip buy. That's mainly, you know, in trending markets. I don't really care to take that, at least here on the Qs as well. But if we pull back here and hold the previous day low, again, that's a daily double bottom now. We could definitely just see a pushback higher. If we get under this, which is what I'm hoping for, I really want this pullback long off the old highs, previous all-time highs, 637. So just a break and retest here on the higher time frame. Right, tomorrow, if we sit in here, kind of just hands off here, as you can see, because now we're just starting to sit in between 650 and 642. And like I say, guys, that's just clean market structure. We just went on a crazy rip for us to start consolidating before we get our next leg higher or lower, that is 100% healthy and normal market structure. So we'll see what sets up. But you can see the 642.52 held very strong today. We pulled down power hour right into it, and buyers aggressively stepped up here, pushing this back up to around what, 646 right now. So very strong level down here. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, if it's going to be inside of our day, or are we going to fall under this previous day low, 642.52, right, and get this gap fill to the downside and pull back and retest the 637 here on Qs. You can see here weekly double top as well and a daily double top, right? Old highs. So what do we want to see? Old highs turn into new support. Really nothing here on Tesla. I'm not going to break this down just because it has earnings tomorrow, so we haven't even touched Tesla this week. NVIDIA. So this was solid, guys. Right? We broke this down very thoroughly. Very, very thoroughly. Played out just how we wanted to. Got the setup last week. This was the break. We turned it into a retest. 2 days in a row, we defended our weekly level, 195.60, right? Turned it to support, and now we're at the top of the range. As I always say, these are the A+ shots, right? Key level, trust your level. It's off a weekly level. So bottom of the range, top of the range. All you have to do is trust it. Let it play out. Let the probabilities play out. Trust what you're doing. Trust your levels, and so on. So you got the break. You got the retest. Now we're at the top of the range. Right? That's the A+ shot. So today, the close watch, what I thought we were going to take was 203, break and retest over 203 here on the video. Did not set up. We ended up getting slapped in the face. Right, it's a resistance level, so we can't be surprised when we push up and sellers step in. It also timed out with QQQ making new all-time highs and then rejecting as well. So main play this week that I'm looking for here on the video, the A+ shot, is a break and retest over 203. That's exactly what I'm looking for here on this name. You can see here pre-market looked really good. These are the reactions I like to see at a key level before I take a trade. So seeing all these reactions, that was beautiful. Right before pre-market, we ended up making a high at 202.97. So break and retest over 203 looked really, really solid. But even here on the video, you can start to see, right, 3 days really haven't done anything. We have not done anything here on the video, but that's normal, right? Look at the crazy rip we just had. We held 170. On the daily time frame, since then, we've only had 2 daily down close candles. So if we start to consolidate, that's just healthy market structure. You got to remember that. So the main play I'm looking for here on the video is this break and retest over 203. AMD, another name, right here on the daily, where we're starting to consolidate a little bit. Why? We just had straight upside. Nothing but upside. When you look at this on the daily, we ended up holding. We knew this was a key level down here, this 193.30. We ended up holding. Look at that. We only have one down close candle on the daily time frame. Everything else has just been straight upside. So the fact that we're starting to sit sideways a little bit, that's healthy market structure. So this is a name where you just got to be patient, right? Patient pace. We're sitting at the top of the range right now. Higher time frame setup. We got the break. I want to see the retest here. That's healthy market structure. Targeting all-time highs. Yesterday we ended up getting a break and retest over the previous day high. Ended up making new all-time highs, and then you can see today really didn't do anything. So really nothing here for me on AMD. I'm just waiting for this trade. So just waiting for the pullback here off my key level, 267.10. You can see last 3 days, right, starting to just sit sideways. That's normal. Let's see, right, if we can get this retest here. So I would definitely keep a lookout on that 267.10. Amazon. So Amazon's really been like this textbook name that I've been watching. I just have not been able to get it. So it's still in play because we haven't made new all-time highs. So all you have to do is look at 250.35, and you can see this is a very strong key level, right? Being respected pretty much every single day of the last trading week. Very strong key level. If you zoom in here on the 15-minute, right? Look at this. That's beautiful. That's exactly what you want to see. So unfortunately, right, yesterday, we ended up just having this crazy rally right at market close. So today I was looking for that pullback long, right? Didn't get it on the intraday. Ended up taking a trade on Microsoft and Palantir, but we knew 250.35 was a key level to watch. So every day so far, it's just been getting respected. Look at that. You had a peak and fell that day. Nice little liquidity grab. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We broke above. Tried to hold it as support. We got back under. Resistance. Got back above. And then today held that as support. So 250.35 is a key level here. And this is our last key level before we see all-time highs. So this is where I want to be long. Down here before we get up there. So that's what I'm really looking for here on Amazon. There's really nothing else that I care to take like on this chart. I highly doubt we will, but I mean, hey, if we do, we still need to retest on the weekly time frame, but I only like that if we don't make all-time highs. So the main play here is 250.35, pullback long or a break and retest off of this targeting all-time highs. And then Microsoft. So very solid here on Microsoft. I'll zoom in here on the 1 minute in a sec, but it just did very well holding its key level. We ended up going long today over 423.95, and you can see it did very well holding. So support, we broke under, turned into resistance, support. Today, this was an A plus trade. Why? Because it's a break and retest over the previous day high and over a key level. Like I always say in trading, confluence equals higher probability. So we ended up holding, right? Not the cleanest price action, but when it did set up, you got that nice push up into this new high day here on Microsoft. So tomorrow, the only thing you're really looking for here is just to see, right, can we continue to hold this as support and make our way back up to last week's highs. If you want, you could definitely look for a break and retest over the PDH here for that continuation higher, but this is really where you want to be long. So if it gives another setup, pull back long off this 423.95, that's exactly where you want to be long, just how we were today. If you zoom out here on the daily, right, I broke this down very thoroughly on the weekly outlook, so feel free to go back and watch that and it'll make a little bit more sense. But you can see, right, the last 4 days, right, not too much going on. We had a very nice downtrend. We consolidated a little bit. We ended up ripping to the upside, and just like I showed you on NVIDIA and AMD, now we're just starting to sit sideways just a little bit, which is a healthy market structure. But we are getting this crazy V-shaped recovery here on Microsoft. Basically a break of structure here. We're still very bearish on the weekly, but here on the daily, we are starting to break structure. So you really want to be long here, 423.95, before we get back up here to 439.45. So that's really the main play tomorrow on Microsoft. Break and retest over 423.95 or a pullback long off of 414.20. You can see today wick to the damaged body tells the story. So the body of the candle closed right under our key level here. So a break and retest over this is still valid, looking for the top of this range here on Microsoft. So that's really the main play I will be looking for tomorrow on Microsoft. Palantir, very solid play here, right off the weekly outlook. So we know this 148.05 is a key level. It's a very strong key resistance level. We ended up having a peak and fail today. Let's go here on the daily. I'm sorry, on the 1 minute. We ended up catching a very nice break and retest. Like I said, everything pretty much got slapped in the face as soon as Qs made new all-time highs and they rejected the top of the range. And this was just a great shot. Look how aggressive we were to the downside at open. And then buyers just stepped up very aggressively. Every dip started to get bought up. We broke above the high day. We broke above a weekly level. That was beautiful. We got this nice break, retest, hammer stick candle right off our weekly level. And we were able to ride this all the way up into new highs. And then we ended up getting stopped out for our runners on the rest of our position. But solid day here on Palantir. So really the main thing you're looking for tomorrow is still the same trade that we took today. You don't know what trade is, which day that trade is actually going to hold and ride all the way, but it's just your job to put yourself in a position to catch it when it does. So same thing tomorrow, break and retest over 148.05. You can look to, target this PDH for a scale out, but ideally, when you're looking at this on the higher time frame, the next key level, if or when it gets over this, right, bottom of the range, top of the range, just like I showed you on the video, is here. You want to be in a long here before we get up here. As I always say, history likes to repeat itself. You can see we ended up breaking above here. We ended up holding here, and we made our way back up to the top of the range here on Palantir. So that's all you're looking for, right? Can we hold and get above 148.05 and see a push up into 161.75? So that's really what I'm looking for tomorrow there on Palantir. For those who trade, off the PDL, you can definitely look for a break and retest under the previous day low, right? Looking for a pullback here to 125.40. To me, Palantir is just a name that when you look at here on the on the daily, it's not trending higher or lower. When you look at this on the weekly, it's not trending higher or lower. You see what I mean? It's pretty neutral. So for me, the more conservative play is just making sure that I'm only taking trades on this name off of higher time frame key levels. Right? I don't really care to take a trade off a PDH or PDL here on this name. Key level being respected perfectly, that's your highest probability shot. So even if you want to go short, you can look for a pullback long off of 148.05. But ideally, I just want to wait for the range break. So I will be looking for that again tomorrow, which is a break and retest over 148.05. And then Apple. So I'm a little bullish bias here on Apple as long as we are above 262.40. As long as we're above 262.40. But when you look at this, like I am, who knows, right? Are we making lower lows here? Right? Are we? Not the cleanest chart, not the best looking chart. Apple's done a lot of consolidation, right? Turning his old, channels into support or into resistance. We consolidated here and then we broke above. So on the weekly time frame, we still do need to pull back here to 262.40. So until we break back under, if or when we do, that's when I'll look to short Apple under 262.40. Just because, okay, cool. Now, right, we know for sure buyers are not back in control. Until then, I'm really just looking for pullback longs. So I'm looking for a pullback long off of 262.40, a break and retest over 266.95, and then a break and retest over 270.65 here on Apple. Not a name that I really trade too much. Just Apple just doesn't move that well on the underline. Like, it just does not move that well. But as we know, when Apple runs, it definitely runs. So as you can see, this is what I'm looking at here. This was a very key resistance level. You can see last week we got that big breakout, big displacement, waiting for that. That's a valid shot. It's a break and retest on the weekly time frame. So you're looking for this pullback long off at 260, 240. If it sets up, it's a great long. If it doesn't, right, then you can definitely start to look to go short under 260, 240 here. But when you look at this on the weekly, Apple's not doing too much. You know, the last 3 weeks, very, very strong here. So we do need to retest this 260, 240. But like I said, right, are we making lower lows here? Possibly. Or we won't know until we know. We definitely are if we get back under 260, 240 here and sellers are able to get under that and push that thing lower. If so, we're definitely making lower lows here on the weekly and daily time frame. So hope this helps. Continue to be patient. Let your trades come to you. What else am I missing? Yeah, my main watch tomorrow is really NVIDIA. Like higher time frame wise, it's really NVIDIA and Amazon. These are really my main watches. NVIDIA over 203. We'll see if that sets up or it just spends another day consolidating. And then Amazon, right, 250.35. When you zoom out here on the daily, you can see next key level is all-time highs. We're already there. We're just starting to consolidate a little bit, but we're already there. So this is really the last key level here. You want to be long at 250.35 before you get up here to 258.60. You can kind of see heavy supply up here. There's no doubt about that. You can see when we push up here, there's sellers sitting up here pushing price back down as soon as it pushes up into that. So that's definitely something to be mindful of. But in order to, avoid getting slapped in the face up here, that's why I say you want to be long down here. So hope this helps. I will see you guys on the next one. Remember, on Wednesdays, I do post the Zoom link here on YouTube with the passcode if you ever want to join in. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next one.